If you forward it to me, I can print it out.
I won't know how that. But Mike's on the committee. So we're planning something that doesn't done. You won't just blazing trails.
I'm at it. Probably it might be 2 hours.
This one's, I mean, how about these,
This is just better.
No, that's.
Okay, okay. All right, good. Thank you. Okay, thanks. I'll talk to you later.
And that's subject to.
Okay, bye.
This is, which one is this?
We got advertising.
Oh, that's a flag.
That was only a $10.
I thought it was like 15. How long did it take to get it?
Can I put it down?
I'm expecting it, I think it's gonna be,
8 to 9 weeks.
yeah, it's gonna be in December.
Cameras taking out for a little bit of time.
Yeah, no, you already ordered it.
It comes to us.
And I want to get her this.
I think we.
Still gonna work on long time between now and the fair, you must be right.
Very ready to bring the next hand. Everybody stand for the pledge. The pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gather this day to the board business for the people of the village of Borrego. That is really and I'm standing amen.
All right, so firstly on the list is public comment. Anybody have anything? Jan, we put you on the agenda first.
Oh, you want me to do my thing right now?
If nobody else has anything else, does anybody else have any other public comment?
I'm important to you. Okay, so I've been working for the village since June of 2016, trying to get the books caught up. Not easy for me to do, training a new person and keeping everything up. We're almost to the end of 16-17 where we can get the audit finalized and the AUD finalized. We move on to 17-18 and we've been more involved, so we're trying to reduce the number of errors that are happening. It's reducing, but it's not where I want it to be. And it's very difficult for me to keep on top of both the old and the new. I had you guys hire a guy that's got 35 years of experience. That just didn't work out. I mean, I had him working and I was working with him and he just, to me, he wasn't working fast enough. So he's gone. I've contacted a group called EFPR Solutions, which I used to work for them when I first got out of college. They're up in Rochester, but they have a group of women that go around and they subcontract to municipalities, specifically villages and towns, and they do their work remotely. So they would need people in the office to do the work, and then they would come in, and they're very familiar with KVS, which Chuck was not at all very familiar. So that was like a training tool, and so they're very familiar with KVS. I talked with a woman for an hour and a half last Thursday about what kinds of things that they could do. They would do your budget. They would do your bank reconciliations. They would generate all your reports, and they would go through and they would be done faster. I just have a good understanding of, possibly working with them where I could get the old stuff done and they could make sure that the new stuff is kept track of a lot better. I would like to talk to them more. I would like to bring you a proposal as early as next week. Initially, when we were talking, I said, what do you guys charge for coming into, a municipality like this that has a $2 million budget, and, if you do a monthly, and I told them about the number of bank accounts, and she goes, oh, we would have a lot of suggestions. The best thing is that they're very familiar with KVS, very familiar.
So Jay, can I interrupt? So what sort of service does KVS offer? I mean, do they support their software at all?
Oh, yeah.
But it's just, if you're not trained in it, that's not gonna work?
If you don't understand municipal accounting, okay? And what happens here is that things happen at the clerk treasurer's office that you guys don't know about.
Oh, yeah, we know.
Right, and so I'm just trying to get this to a better situation where you guys know and the reports adequately reflect what is supposed to be happening.
Yeah.
In other words, I looked at the report for September and noticed a whole bunch of, issues that, okay, not a big deal. Then I met with Mike a couple hours ago and he brought a whole bunch of other stuff to light.
Yeah.
That I'm sitting here going into the details and then I don't get like, okay, what's supposed to happen with the EMTs? What's supposed to happen with the police department? What's supposed to happen with the resource officer at the school? All that stuff is showing up here as expenses.
Yeah.
The real deal is that the expenses are supposed to be reimbursed, but you just don't know, okay? And so anybody that puts together the budget based upon all this stuff, but then, okay, well, all the EMT's expenses are showing up here. You've got a car purchase that's showing up here. It shouldn't be showing up that. You've got the cemetery CD is showing up as a transfer in. Well, it shouldn't have been a transfer in. It never should have come in. It should have stayed in the cemetery fund. So, and I'm just catching these as looking at the treasurer's report, like in an hour and a half, and going, okay, we need to get this tightened up even more. And I'm still working on the old stuff, and I'm also trying to get to the new stuff. So there's only so much that I can do, and I need to get somebody that really understands this. And the other thing is payroll cannot continue to be done in that office.
And you're recommending that it be outsourced?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It has to be outsourced.
Okay.
It has to be. There's no doubt in my mind. I could give you 50 examples of why it can't be done in there.
Yeah.
It just can't be.
And that would free them up to be better at their core job if they don't have
Yes.
to worry about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep.
So I'm super, I mean, I've been there for over 2 years, I'm talking with them, and the payroll really needs to be outsourced. I can get that information for you. Like I said, I just started talking to this group last week, and I think I can get something that works for you guys, because you don't wanna keep paying me. I mean, I can come in as a consultant here and there, but because I'm very familiar with what happens over there,
Yeah.
what the potential is. But I've gotta get this into some kind of a sinus rhythm where someone's looking over what they're doing, bank reconciliations, transfers between the accounts, specifically payroll. I gotta have someone overseeing that on a monthly basis, because it's not getting any better. That's, as a matter of fact, not working out well at all. So,
Well, that makes sense, I think.
yeah, I just need to know if you guys want me to go further with this, and, you know, I can produce something next week and you can look at it. I'd be happy to meet with you and talk about what the specific issues are, which I'm not gonna bring up here, and how we can solve them.
So as it stands now, Chuck didn't work out. He was the one that was supposed to do the transition into.
He was just
work
too
with-
slow.
Yeah.
He's just too slow. He's used to doing stuff if everything's put together nice, but it wasn't put together nice. And you have to be a dog to get in there and dive into stuff and not be afraid to upset people. We're not trying to make friends, we're trying to solve the problem. We're looking for everybody to chip in and do your job and get everything going forward so that you guys get good reports, and so you know how much money you have. You know, how much unrestricted money that you have, because there's $40,000 in here that says it's a contingency. Well, where's that coming from? So I'm just looking for, just let me keep going further with this, and we are catching up, and even if you go over there tomorrow and ask those girls, they're gonna say, we're going really fast catching up right now.
Well, I'm supportive of you bringing us a proposal.
Yeah, me
I don't
too.
know that we need to vote on it, but
I don't think so.
No, you need a vote after I
Yeah,
present a
Yeah, right,
proposal,
okay,
but, yeah, but,
So one thing that the board could do, I mean, we could put an I don't wanna slow things down any more than they need to be, but you could do an RFP for this type of service, and then whichever firm that she's considering as, you know, her.
one of the,
It could be one, who knows how many firms would actually respond, but, I mean, you could do an RFP, put it out for 30 days, you'd get probably hopefully you'd get a lot of inquiries, and who knows what proposals you'd actually get, but then you could at least weigh some, one to the other. But it sounds like then there'd be two services, right? One, the over the
Payroll
shoulder,
service,
and then
yeah.
two payroll services.
yeah.
And I think you would wanna treat those separately.
Well, believe me, I have asked
yeah.
all kinds of people about what is out there as far as an oversight that would work. And you have to have a understanding of KVS, you have to have an understanding of municipal accounting, and to me, you need years of experience or years of working in different municipal settings. And that's what these guys have, is they have a lot of, you know, Alexandria Bay and Milo, and, you know, there's all kinds of other towns that they have experience with, so that was nice. And then when I was on the phone with her for an hour and a half, it wasn't just, I've got 35 years of experience, it was, you got too many bank accounts, you should outsource payroll, that's too much of a risk for your clerk, which it is too much of a risk. You know, if you make a mistake, if you're withholding too much or not enough and then not paying in, or, you know, payroll tax deposits, it's too much of a risk. And you need someone over them daily looking at it, and that's not what you have. You have one person doing it and doesn't know whether if the transfers between the sewer fund and the general fund have been made, and then if there's an error in payroll, did the transfers go back, and it just keeps building, that's not getting better. So, but I would be happy to move forward, and if you want me to, you know, do an RFP and be very specific and then send it out, I don't know, because the municipal accounting is very focused. But I don't want to slow down, so I'm not going to slow down, but I'm trying to have somebody else come in and be able to help me move forward. So that's
So I
what
guess
I.
first, do we want to do an RFP?
Do we want to do an RFP or not?
Or do we
I mean,
just
what
get
could
a
hurt,
quote?
I guess.
Nothing really.
Right,
You're probably gonna need one anyhow.
right, exactly, I mean, that would just seem to further the process.
Right.
Could Jan write up an RFP, since you know?
Yeah, I mean, that would probably be the way to do it, right?
Right, so if you would do a first draft of the RFP and then send it around to the mayor and myself and Rod, and we'll weigh in, and I mean, I'm thinking the tentative timeline would be, you know, if you get a draft to us within the next 2 weeks, and then we can finalize it, and then maybe publish at the beginning, or beginning to middle of December, say like 30 days for responses type of thing, and then maybe award something in January.
Okay, all right.
That sounds good.
We're
And
gonna
if
need
she's
that
got-
process anyway.
If she's got someone who's, you know, got a leg up in that process, then, you know, get her.
You got it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next on the list, we'll do the parade permit, since we're here.
Okay, thank you. I think Jan was jealous that I had such a great topic. She made her report more scary than mine was gonna be. So I don't know what's going on, but I am here, I'm Kathy Nichols Newell. And I'm here in case you had any questions or concerns. And I know we are so far from Halloween, but if we don't have permission to do it, there would be no sense in doing all the committee work leading up to it and trying to reach out. We're not gonna try to make it really huge the first year, but we do wanna be given permission. You know, hope that would be in your will tonight. And I would like to add that's not in that letter is that the Kiwanis signed in the board meeting on Thursday morning to sponsor us. You know, so it would have a little bit, because we're just a bunch of people that met on Facebook over the wanting to bring back the old J. Menarche Halloween parade.
Yeah, great.
So did you all get to read the description? I mean, was it news to anybody? This is old time Owego. I mean, it's
Yep.
go around the parade, get some costumes, get some prizes, and then the kids go out and trick or treat. But we are trying to do a couple other things with it. Decorating windows, costume parade. We're hoping that the Elks will open up for an hour for young child, old carnival, Halloween carnival kind of fun. And we're hoping that the theater will jump on board and maybe somebody will sponsor to pay for the movie, but we're hoping to have some type of teen Halloween movie. Ghostbusters or, you know,
They
something
used to put
appropriate,
something
but
on the
scary.
marquee too, right?
They'll do, yeah, did you see the picture I
Yeah.
posted? Yeah. Yeah, it used to be a big deal. I mean, I went to it all the time.
Yeah.
It was fun, and, you know, big announcements, Louis Rubin, I believe, was there, and they had the, you know, wagons and stuff to stand up and make their big announcements,
Oh,
so.
when he was a rodeo star?
When he was probably at the farm at that point, but yeah, from his old days, he used to do a bunch of stuff like that. So if there's not any major concern or whatever, I'd like to keep it kind of flexible with the plans. Mike and Charles have both offered to kind of be on that committee. I don't know if they'll be active on the committee, but I'm a pretty good note taker because I am the secretary for the fair board. So there'll be minutes every month just to keep us up. So if you ever see something that's not appropriate, we probably would have asked for permission or kind of checked it out before, but stop us in our tracks if we get going, you know, on something that we probably should avoid.
Yeah.
Couple of quick things. Basically, for which the parade permit application here says Wednesday, the 31st, 2019. I think Halloween was on Wednesday this year, so it's probably not that day.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, true.
And we're gonna have to, this route, we're gonna have to get the state permission or to close a little chunk of Front Street from right over to church. And so we know all that. And then we're giving, I don't know if it says, we're gonna give permission for them to use that parking lot out behind the theater.
Right, parking lot, and then the theater permission would be from the theater owner himself.
It'd be Thursday.
Yeah.
Thursday, the 31st? Yeah, sorry. I'm surprised I got the right year down there.
That gets tougher and tougher.
Most impressed, I see 2019, okay. It looks like I'm in charge of everything, but I'm just the chair of the committee, and we will have a parade marshal. We will have a cleanup crew. We will have supported help from merchants that choose to be part of our parade. They're gonna have kettles filled with candy that's been donated, you know, so the kids, when they're going around the block, they can also pick up candy. I'm really thinking that, I hope we have a lot of young kids. We'll probably have teenagers too, but we're really hoping to provide a little fun activity for parents that don't want to go every single neighborhood, up and down every single street in the dark and the cold. So we're kind of trying to keep it local. What do you think my only concern would be parking, parents will just have to, we'll figure that out, I guess, with the police department, right? Ask them where to, tell parents to park before they jam up downtown.
Yeah, those are details you work out.
Yeah, as we go.
I just wanted to add something as a resident of Main Street. I'm in favor of this, but just so you know, from 5 o'clock until 8 o'clock, I have 500 trick-or-treaters.
Wow.
And I have to close my door at 8 o'clock because I'm out.
You shut the light,
Yeah, and, so my concern is even having more trick-or-treaters than that. That's all. But I don't know whether anybody's ever shared that kind of data with you, but those of us that are kind of along that strip right there, as soon as they go to the church, the Baptist church has the tricker truck, people go right through that and then they hit our houses right there, which is great. And the little ones come out like at 5 o'clock and all that, but it's 500, I am out at 8 o'clock. So just so you know, numbers wise,
You have to get the Twix and split them in half.
It's funny that you mentioned it because I have watched those comments and that's how our group got started. So one of the things that we're going to do is ask for candy donations because I came from a subdivision in Kentucky. Everybody drove to our subdivision. Well, we sat for 3 hours and had the best bonfire and watched all the kids parade. I went through 400 or 500 pieces of candy easily. So I don't get one trick-or-treater at my house over on Hiawatha. I don't get one. So I think we're gonna also put out for people that wanna donate to the cause, running up and down Main Street, whatever. We might have extra candy for people too to be part of the fun. I'm serious, I mean, there's a lot of people.
like a great,
Yeah, so I wrote that concern down.
I'm not complaining. I was
it's
just
great.
letting people know what the traffic is currently without a parade, that's all.
I'm sure you can work out all the details.
Yeah.
Got plenty of time.
Yeah.
So do we need a motion to approve the permit then? I'll make the motion.
Okay,
Got a second.
I don't want any fights over my parade proposal.
you have anything to say? Looked like you were gonna say something.
No, would we want to close Church or Lake Street? I mean, other than during the parade, would we want to close one of those streets before or after for all the people who are going to be there? Maybe close Church Street, I don't know.
For parking, you mean?
Just to.
If there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of
Because
people.
there is-
Oh, okay, just so they're not trying to cross there, okay.
That's something you should also do more as the time goes. I mean, we're almost a year away right now. If this looks like it's really gonna take off, then that's a lot of the real discussion.
Because they'll either be in that back parking lot or inside the theater if it's a terrible weather event. So, thank you for the thought.
All right, so we have a motion, a second, we just need a vote, nobody else has any?
Yes.
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 Thank you.
So that's good.
If you need help with DOT, just call me.
I got your number. We'll go right from the fair. I'll try not to burn any bridges during fair week, and then maybe you'll help us with the Halloween parade too. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you
Please
for
don't be
taking it
offended.
on.
We'll clear out and give you guys your normal.
You have our audience.
What's
I
that?
know.
You have our audience.
Well, is there gonna be any exciting thing happen?
You never know.
Right
The
here.
big excitement for Mike was he got the sidewalk shoveled. Everybody was all thrilled about that.
Sidewalk, well, Jeff got the
Congratulations.
sidewalk shovel.
Well, Jeff, good job.
I texted Jeff, he did it.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
I was at work anyway. All
Okay.
right, so the next thing we have is not on the agenda, is we have 2 fire department members. Amanda Fox and Joseph Portman. So I think we have to make a motion for these, right?
Company fire.
Okay, so I'd make a motion to, for Amanda Fox to join Company 5.
Second?
Okay. right, to join Susquehanna Hose Company number 1.
Second?
Vote?
Yes.
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 Yes, that's good. That's official, these.
Passes are
Yeah.
Okay, so that's done. All right, the next thing is a motion authorizing me to sign the agreement for round 5 Restoring the Main Street Rehabilitation Project at 171 Main Street.
So to be clear, this is the development agreement with the property owner that allows, basically, you know, they agree to do the project with the monies. There was a similar agreement done where for the, I think it was the Gateway project. It's an identical form as the one used previously.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
Second?
okay. So a vote?
I'm not clear on what this is.
But I don't know really much about the grant or the 171 Main Street project itself. I just
Maybe
knew
we
what I
can
was looking
explain
at.
it?
Yeah, are you asking, you're not sure what the development agreement is?
Right.
Or the project at 171?
The project,
So last year, we worked with the village and George Awad and Alan Briggs. They own 167, 169. Alan owns that, and then George Awad owns 171 Main Street. So we applied for Restore New York funding. The village received, I'm blanking, $875,000 in funds for both projects. So George is ready to move forward with his, and he wanted to put in place a development agreement. So for his project, he's doing facade work, and he's going to be adding 2 apartments on the 2nd and 3rd floor.
okay, thank
So,
you.
yep.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
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 yes. All right. Next item is award 4 contracts for phase 2.
So, Rod, did any petitions get filed for the permissive referendum on the additional borrowing that was authorized?
No.
So I think we're at this point in the clear to assume we can, we budgeted appropriately, or at least added some additional contingency. So at this point, I think we're in a position to award the contracts.
This is with the contingency
Yeah, this adds the extra chunk of money, yes.
on top of the.
Yep.
Okay. Existing authorization.
And you'll recall we waited to award these because we wanted to make sure that we had that contingency available.
All right, I'll make that motion.
Goes all the way around.
Second. Okay, so vote. Fran?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Yes.
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 And yes.
Yes.
All right, next discussion, code enforcement officer from part-time to full-time. We did some checking, and if we go to full-time, they would be offered the same benefits as everybody else in the union.
So it'd be just like Itchy's package, but he's gonna have a higher salary.
Right. Now, I did talk to Cindy about that vacation buyout.
Or other way around, yeah.
The vacation buyout is only if you had the insurance previously and then don't elect it the next year, they buy you out.
Yeah.
If he never elects it, he wouldn't get the buyout.
So the only issue that I had, I think I sent around an email earlier,
Yeah,
is,
killing 2 birds. I
Yeah.
like that.
I mean, if you hired another part-timer who had some experience in historic preservation, you would A, avoid the, the premium for having a full-time employee, and B, get somebody that staff what we're contemplating in the new OHPC law. And I wouldn't hang it up over that, but I just think that's something that they could consider.
Is there any way for him to become, I'll say, able to act as the local historic preservation person
You'd
under
have to
the
get,
law?
you'd have to get certified under, maybe Nadine could talk to us about that.
Let me think. Well, the people that I know that are our historic preservation planners have master's degrees in that, like from someplace like Cornell and some other universities. I don't know that there's any kind of state certification for it or anything like that, it's like a degree.
There's a set of standards that the Secretary of State promulgates.
And we reference them in the new
Yes.
local
Yeah.
law.
Yeah.
I'm just not familiar enough with exactly what those are to say that, just to know what he would need to do.
It's pretty intensive. It's someone who has a, you know, a architectural history degree, has worked in the field
Yeah.
for so many years, that type of thing.
So what's the likelihood of you getting a part-time code enforcement officer with that same background?
So we have a hard time finding this guy.
Yeah, but if you, you know, if you looked at Cornell, you might find someone, it'd be a revolving door, but you might find someone who could, you know, who could meet both of those requirements, who was looking to get started in the field. Or, you know, I've advocated for Terry Coleman in the past. I know that's not your favorite solution, but I think he's someone who might actually come close to meeting those Secretary of the Interior standards because of his work at the theater for 40 years. You know, he's been a one-man preservation army there. So,
So I just wanna speak to the money, because one of the reasons we were considering this was we were talking about going from a part-time $30,000 person to a full-time $40,000 person. The money's creeping, what's retirement, I don't know what level, it's 15-16% of the salary. We talked about
That's the
whether or
real
not it had
cost,
to be
by the
somebody,
way.
we talked about whether somebody had to be a member of the union.
yeah.
I don't know whether we found out whether we talked about whether we could remove that job from union. We put Bitchy in the union, whether we could do that, how complicated it is, whether we want to do that. And of course, the health benefits that he can say he doesn't need at any time if he's in the union, can then change his mind at any moment, get those. I'm just talking about the money part,
There's a risk.
because we talked about a certain level of money, and we're interested to know what level we're talking now. Potentially $40,000 salary and $30,000 benefits, maybe $70,000, I don't know. Just want to know.
What would two part-time code enforcers cost? Would it be $60,000, $30,000 times two, or?
Basically.
Probably, yeah, right.
So how much are we actually saving by going two part-timers?
You'd have to actually do that analysis, I think.
The big risk would be probably increased health costs with two people
In retirement.
and retirement.
So part-time is still entitled to both all the union benefits?
Typically, they don't have access to those benefits.
Nor do they have to be provided retirement.
Right.
I mean, you hire a full-time person now who's 20-some years old, it's gonna cost the village, you know, $3 million over the course of that person's employment and retirement.
Right.
Is the code enforcement officer expecting a decision tonight?
No.
So it's certainly, if you want to take the time to crunch the numbers.
Well, it would be prudent to do that, to crunch the numbers, to figure out what the exact cost of both the, you know, the present cost and the future cost, and to, you know, to weigh whether we could actually find someone who might fill that role.
Because there was, I'm sure Jeff will mention, you know, we've had a long time finding anybody for
Yeah.
even
Yeah, that's what my
Yeah.
intention is.
Yeah.
Can I, as a committee member, can I weigh in just a little bit? I just wanted to say that I've worked with the current code enforcement officer on a few projects, and I've been very impressed with his professionalism and his way of dealing with people and caring about the community. I just wanted to put that out there, that currently, I think we have a good person in the position.
Yeah.
Same conflict that we always have. We don't have a lot of money, we need more code, we need more hours. Same conundrum.
Was there someone on the committee here that can put those figures together? Not I.
We could do that, I think we could do that in 5 minutes.
Yeah, it wouldn't be that difficult. You just have to look at the,
What's the health benefit, what's the retirement benefit, what is the
Just
total
looking at the
package?
numbers, basically.
I mean, Rod's got a report that shows what,
Yeah. we could
Right,
pull some
you go,
numbers
Rod?
together.
Alright, so why don't we table it till next time?
makes
seen it on the agenda anyway. It's been a while. Alright, so next is,
But our current code enforcement officer would go to full-time if we chose to go that route.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
So one last time, do we have any interest in not having that be a union job, and how complicated is that?
Well, it's as complicated as convincing the union to agree that it's not a union job. So that's as easy or as hard as they make it.
good luck with that.
Okay. Once they have it, they use it forever.
Yep.
Okay.
Whoever wants to play that.
Can we check with the union before our next meeting?
We can always ask.
They can give us a non-binding answer, right?
Right. Okay.
Unfortunately, it might involve hand motions.
With that union, that's true. Okay, so the next, if anybody else has any, we'll table that for next time. And our next topic is the EDU count for the Gateway building. So I think everybody knows what Gateway building is. It's now occupied. There's at least one tenant upstairs. They have 8 apartments upstairs, 4 mini stores downstairs, plus Tioga County Tourism.
Was that one bathroom?
Downstairs they have 1 bathroom. None of the stores have water or sewer besides the 1 bathroom. So I guess the question is, there's a couple options. The question is, that type of building doesn't fit into our EDU guidelines at all. The 8 apartments upstairs are pretty straightforward. That would be 1 EDU each for 8. Question is, what do we do downstairs
So
with the EDUs?
the EDU law, I think, has a, certainly when they apply for their probably occupancy certificate, I mean, there should be a number of EDUs assigned probably by Jerry. So I guess the question would be, what have you done to assign them? I don't think it's necessarily a board question from the beginning without knowing, okay, how